This video is brought to you by Harold Sack, who gave me a massive 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. I love the Mardu colour combination, I love reanimating stuff, and I love Final Fantasy VI. So imagine my ecstasy when I saw Terra Herald of Hope, a commander that wants to fill up the graveyard with creatures that have 3 or less power, not CMC, ready to pay 2 upon combat damage and reanimate them. There's some excellent and expensive creatures with 3 or less power, and we're going to take advantage of plenty of them here. The game plan is to outpace your opponents in combat by cheating costs on big effects and control the board with our ETBs, or by assembling a few combos that are available to us. But we don't just want to reanimate stuff and leave it there necessarily, as the ETBs are important. We'll often want to hit multiple times a turn and sacrifice the thing that we just brought back straight away, just so that we can get the ETB again. Lots of shenanigans to be had here. Let's start with actually getting the creatures into the bin so that we can cheat them out. I went for rummage effects instead of leaning into self-mill. This allows us to be much more selective with the cards that we pitch, whilst also looking at new cards frequently. Joshua and Pyromancer are great bodies that can be brought back to life over and over if needs be, in order to see more and more cards in both the graveyard and our hand. Similar cards are Faithless Looting and Thrill of Possibility, but Key to the City allows Terra to get through for that all-important hit that she needs to land in order to trigger, whilst also throwing something away that she could reanimate that very combat. The fact that she needs to land damage is relevant too, because it means that multiple hits can come in handy. Harmonic Prodigy, Blade Historian, FOMO, Ryu and Aurelia give us means of hitting multiple times, so that we can bring out even more creatures. We won't always be able to land with Terra though, so we've got some redundancy with the usual culprits, meaning we should be able to rummage our way into a deadly board state whether Terra is around or not. But what are we bringing back into play exactly? There's a few directions to go with this commander. You could go for more control, be more thematic, or go heavy on the combos. I decided on the former, so we want to make use of ETBs to buy us enough time to either finish players off in combat or assemble a combo. Lauren, Skyclave Apparition, Ravenous Chupa Chups, Fury, Solitude, Duplicant and Meteor Golem all enter and get rid of something. Between all these effects we should be able to handle any issues quite capably. And I mentioned sacking our stuff just to bring it back again straight away. Attrition helps us with the control plan whilst also helping us to keep reanimating. The same with Yawgmoth, who also happens to refill our hand, maybe even to the point where we discard some stuff to hand size. Your Henny becomes a massive threat just because you breathed in too many times. And the Soul Trader makes a massive difference being able to generate mana so that we can actually pay for the effect on Terra. The same can be said of Ashnod's Altar and Phyrexian Altar. It's a Reanimator combo deck, so you knew these were in here. Finally, we'll check out the combos. As ever, there's redundancy, but only really a couple of combos to pick out. Luminous Broodmoth with a sack outlet and Murderous Redcap is infinite damage to everything. It comes back with a flying counter, then a minus counter, then a flying counter, then a minus counter, etc, etc. And then we've got Body Launderer, Karmic Guide and a sack outlet. Both creatures reanimate each other over and over again for an infinite ETB/death loop. Add in a drain effect to this and you have infinite drain on your opponents. The beauty of these combos is that you won't be disappointed to see any of the individual pieces outside of actually assembling the combo. So if the combos happen, they happen, but if not, you can make use of the individual cards anyway. So will it be combo or combat damage that we get more use out of today? Let's see. Up against Mishra today, along with Xenagos and Golbez, with a 2-lander and quite a high curve. I don't like that, so yeah, if we had a means of discard I'd probably keep it, but don't even have all our colours for the commander. That's looking better because we've got some ramp and can clear a card off the top if needs be. The Surveil lands are better here because we can load up the graveyard a little bit with them, so keep. And Surveil away a FOMO. I think I'm fine to throw away. Gives us something to reanimate with Terra, just in case we can't rummage anything into the bin. Okay, so let's get down the land. It's pretty obvious we've drawn into Body Launderer here, which is a means of reanimation, but pretty obvious that we're getting into the Talisman. Ethereum Sculptor is going to discount the artifacts. Goblin and Archimancer does the same for Gruul spells. And we see there an Imposter Mech, which is a 2-mana clone. Just makes a copy of the Ethereum Sculptor. He obviously wants to make artifacts as well. So 3 in a row, 2-mana discounts. But we are not going to follow suit here. Let's get down the Mystic Peak as a land. I don't think there's any need to bolt it down here. We can't afford the Entomb anyway to tutor something into the bin. So we're knocking Summoning Sickness off our Terra and hoping to swing in with it next turn. We still get the mill at least, which shows us Clamp and Animate Dead, no creatures. Golbez hits play for the first time, and we assume he wants to go for an artifact into that. So we'll Surveil, thanks to the Millikin being played. Survival of the Fittest into Cultivate, thanks to our opponent's discounts. Can't afford to activate the Survival of the Fittest, thankfully. A Hilda's Crown for the Grixis player can tap down creatures, which we don't like because we're obviously a combat-focused deck. There's no flyers or reaches in play yet, so we should be able to get through with our commander. I think we'll just go straight through to combat. We'll mill 2. Allows us into Havoc Eater and a Lauren. I don't particularly care for either of those at the moment. I think I'm just going to entomb a Solemn Simulacrum into the bin so that we can actually fix our colours a lot better. So throw the Solemn Simulacrum into the bin, and I'll swing down the middle at the Gruul player. So when we manage to hit, we obviously have to pay the cost, which is 2. We don't have to put a target on the stack, which is noteworthy. We just have to pay the cost and then select what we're doing and allow the ability to resolve. So Solemn enters tapped and gives us the Rampant Growth to fix our black mana a bit better. Lively Dirge has been kicked by our opponents, so search for a card, put it into the graveyard, and they can return 2 creatures with total mana value 4 from graveyard to battlefield. And so with the Dirge in the bin is a Mere Retriever and a Shardless Outlander. And we've seen Imhotep enter play. And when the creature does enter play, it allowed the big artifact to go back to hand. It left the graveyard, meaning that a couple of Necron tokens can be made. Null Rod has come into play to hurt the artifacts of his opponents. Goreclaw discounts big creatures as well, so we now can't use our Talisman. I dare say it hurts the other 2 artifact-based players more than us though. We might be able to use that Null Rod to slow our opponents down enough to be able to catch up here. Storm the Vault is a scary one that will flip round into a land that taps for every artifact you control. Okay, and there is a good sack outlet and a land in Phyrexian Tower. Slam that down straight away. I don't trust that Null Rod is going to stay in play against these 2 opponents, so I'm going to risk getting down the Soul Warden, or the Warren Soul Trader, I should say. We're not going to be able to make use of the artifacts, but we can sacrifice a creature to it at least. We might as well use the Phyrexian Tower for additional mana here. So mill the 2 cards with Terra first. And that shows us another sack outlet in Yahenni. I'm thinking I might just reanimate Solemn Simulacrum again here. So let's swing into the right this time. Solemn can go to the left and we'll see if he wants to block. Might be able to get some free damage through there. Okay, does block, but it's just with the commander, so nothing dies there. And with Terra's trigger on the stack during the damage phase, we're not going to lose mana here. So we can sacrifice to Phyrexian Tower to make 2 mana, draw a card, gets us into Fury, and now we've got the 2 mana held up for our Terra. So obviously we pay into that, and now we've got another target to make. We'll grab the Solemn back again. It's slow going, but if we're not drawing into all that much ramp, plus our ramp's been switched off, then this is about the best we can do at the moment. Shardless Outlander was returned to hand previously and now cycles for basic land cycling. And Executioner's Bauble would sacrifice to blow up a creature, but can't be activated thanks to the Null Rod. I can't keep this guy's graveyard open, so I'm not even bothering to try to look at the cards that might be surveilled. Kappa Cannoneer is a scary one, can become massive and unblockable. Doesn't look as though anything's been surveilled into the bin yet. And now it's through to attacks. Imhotep is going to give +2/+2 to another Necron token, so that's now a 4/4 with Menace. Swings in down the middle, the Imhotep goes to the right, as does the other token. And he's returned a creature from graveyard's hand, so got a couple of Necron tokens from the Imhotep again there. So this commander doing some real work in the 99. Survival activated for the first time. Reveals to us a big Atali. Pitched a Mana Gorger Hydra to fish that out. He can afford the Atali apparently, so out that comes to steal our stuff. Bear in mind that creature costs 3 less thanks to the creatures that were in play already. Enthusiastic Mechanaut to make artifacts cost less. Our Witch Enchanter blows something up. Woodland Bellower tutors out a 3 mana or below creature and fishes out his second Reclamation Sage effect of the turn. So Rec Sage blows up the Imhotep, which has done a lot of work so far, like we said. And Witch Enchanter is pointed at the Executioner's Capsule, surprisingly. Maybe he's worried about the Null Rod going down and that becoming relevant. Anyway, he's got a flyer in play now, over there. Decides against swinging in, surprisingly. And the Grixis player just decides to give up and quit on us. So now we've really got our back against the wall. I think it might be time for the Havoc Eater to make an appearance in an attempt to deal some massive damage and drive our opponent's big creatures in at each other instead of us. So we'll go through to combat, mill 2, see if that changes our plan at all. Alright, Luminous Broodmoth is a combo piece. Boromir can protect us. There's only one attack we can make here thanks to having to land damage with Terra. There is a ward cost that we're going to have to pay on the Kappa, so maximise the amount of mana that we have this turn. Go through to damage first and then sacrifice the Solemn Simulacrum. Will get us 2 again for the Terra, as well as draw us another card, hopefully is a land. Okay, we do manage to make a land, that's good. And then we get to see something that I almost cut from the deck, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it seems like it's going to really turn a game upside down in a lot of instances, and hopefully buy us some time in this instance. So point at Atali and the Kappa. These are 2 big creatures that we have to try avoid getting hits from. Problem is it will cost us 4 mana with Kappa, unfortunately, but that's all we can do here pretty much. And thanks to the massive power on the creatures that we targeted, that becomes a 17/17, 14 plus counters on it. And along with Aurelia, that could seriously do some damage next turn. Let's remember to play the land and probably get down Selfless Spirit here. We can make a chump block with Selfless Spirit and it can protect our board from a Wrath as well. Apologies if the resolution has changed on the screen. I'll sort this out before the next recording. I'm on a new virtual machine on my Mac so that I can emulate Windows, and decided to make the mistake of upgrading to Windows 11. And I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I don't care for Windows 11 over 10 all that much, but I'm trying to get it to read my 4K monitor, which it doesn't seem to want to do for whatever reason. Anyhow, Emry, Lurker of the Lock, will mill and allow you to play artifacts from the bin, and then hardcast, say Dread Return, targeting the Imhotep again, so we have to deal with it once more. Plus counter on the Kappa, Surveil with Golbez, and then flashing back Dread Return straight away, sacrificing the tokens to grab himself a Mere Retriever. So the Kappa is going to be buffed to a 9/9 here, and an artifact has left the bin, so the tokens are replaced pretty much straight away. And the tokens entering are artifacts as well, so continue to trigger the permanents. Imhotep deciding to give a further buff onto the Kappa, so goes from an 11/11 to a 13/13. It is unblockable and cannot attack us this turn because we decided to goad it. So a big hit for 13 there, plus our 17 from the Elemental, means that we could get rid of the Gruul player next turn. Golbear's fishing something out. It's the Ethereum Sculptor again. And when it leaves, Imhotep continues to dominate the game. Eternal Witness being pitched to Survival of the Fittest, and decides to go find himself a Rurik Thar, which won't be good with our Anguished Unmaking or our Attrition, but instead decides to cast Xenagos for haste and double power and toughness. So points the Xenagos you have to assume at Atali, which is a base 7/7, so we'll jump up to a 14/14, and does have Trample, but plenty of chump blockers over there. Again, can't be swinging at us because we've goaded it. He does decide to throw in his Goreclaw towards us though, so that's +1/+1 on the attackers, meaning a 5/4 Trample is swinging in towards us. I think we'll just take the damage on this one. A throng of blocks, including the Mere Retriever, being thrown under the Atali though, which not only takes down Atali but allows him to fish something out with the Mere Retriever. Just decides on a tap land with that, so that could have been worse. That counts as an artifact leaving the battlefield, so more tokens enter off the 40k commander. and Kappa becomes an even bigger threat. Now then, do we need to blow up that null rod to start taking advantage of treasure tokens? Or we could just take the player out so that null rod goes down with him. Saves us mana and a card. Alright. Or we could just draw into the combo piece that we need in Murderous Redcap. Yeah, that'll combo with Luminous Broodmoth. I was just thinking of additional combats for Aurelia. That was going to be the plan here. Aurelia and Terra in twice to the right takes that guy out. Havoc Eater and Selfless Spirit is 19 twice for 2 combats, and that will take the Dimir player out. Do we keep the Havoc Eater is the problem, because there is mana being held up. I suppose it would have to be a Beast Within from the Gruul player. Maybe Chaos Warp. Let's go through to combat. We can do combat first. As long as we get rid of at least one player, then I don't suppose it matters. We'll try and force their hand. I'm not going to play Aurelia here, and hope that I don't regret it. So mill 2 with Terra. We'll gain the most amount of information that we can. See if Havoc Eater manages to take out a player. The Elemental can go straight in for taking care of the green and red player, and then Terra can swing into the left. Obviously we need to be dealing damage with her. And do we manage to land the damage? This will dictate whether we should have gone for Aurelia or not. They're doing something. There's the Beast Within. Alright, called it. So it was the right decision to not go for Aurelia, because we wouldn't have been able to take our opponents out here. Could sacrifice the Selfless Spirit to take care of him there, but I'd like to try and protect our combo if I can, because we're going to have to go off on a combo instead. But I'm glad we're seeing different lines in the deck, regardless of whether we win or lose here. So Terra, we could just reanimate the Havoc Eater again, and just do the same thing all over. Let's pay the cost by sacrificing the Beast token that we've just been so kindly gifted. And we definitely want our Luminous Broodmoth now that we are deciding to go for the combo instead. Tried to do it the old-fashioned way in combat, but just doesn't seem to be doable on Magic Online nowadays. Go through to the main phase, and we've already got our sack outlet, so throw out the red cap. And this is the combo that we mentioned during the deck tech here, so enters, deals damage equal to its power to any target. We have to take life to the Soul Trader is the problem, so we can definitely get rid of the Gruul player. I'm not sure we can get rid of both here. We'll just shock the Dimir player first. I don't think either of them are going to do anything at this point. And whilst we're shooting our opponents in the face, let's make some real mana. For the first time this game, our treasure are going to be switched back on after Null Rod goes down. So sacrifice the Murderous Redcap. We'll put Persist on the stack first so that it comes in with a flying counter, and that'll maximise the amount of power that it comes in with. And once it has the flying counter, the Broodmoth isn't going to reanimate it anymore, but luckily the Persist will, because it can't see a minus counter at the moment. So then we sacrifice it again. We've made our treasure, and like I said, this is costing us life, but we'll make as much treasure as we can, make some real mana for the first time this game. So now it only cares about Persist entering. Comes in with 1 less power, but no flying counter is the important thing. So sacrifice it with the minus counter and no flying counter, brings it back with Broodmoth, and I think we've displayed the combo quite nicely there, so let's concentrate on getting rid of this Gruul player so that we can switch our rocks on. And there we see, it's coming back in with Persist to deal the last ping to our opponent, and we've made a bunch of treasure in the process, so now we should be able to set up a much more permanent combo. We've plummeted down to 14. We were close to the 30 mark prior to this, but that player goes down. And now what we can also do, I'm just trying to show as many lines as possible, we can also sacrifice with Attrition. So get Attrition into play, we can destroy a non-black creature by sacrificing one. So let's point our removal at all the non-black creatures, also by sacrificing the red cap. And it doesn't matter how it's sacrificed, it will still come back with either a flying or a minus counter. It's noteworthy as well that on the rare occasion that you can't target an opponent to take them out, you can always clear their board with the red cap as well, because it can target anything. So let's display taking care of our opponent's creatures here. Just the same combo over and over, it's just a case of where you decide to direct the damage. So take care of Imhotep once again. Down go the tokens as well. Sometimes you can have hexproof on an opponent and you can't target them with things like this, so it's worthwhile knowing that this is a line as well. And with our opponent's board cleared, we've displayed the combo quite nicely here. The Body Launderer will get into play. We can go and grab your Henny with that. We've got Fury available that can deal damage to creatures and planeswalkers, not players unfortunately. But anyway, get down the Launderer. Deep Analysis to draw 2 cards, likely aiming for a board wipe, but just shows us the Ethereum Sculptor yet again. And a Mind Stone. Shows us Imposter Mech again as well. Okay, so clearly doesn't have anything. Let's do the combo properly this time. Sacrifice the Body Launderer is going to let us reanimate, I think, pretty much anything in this deck, because everything's 3 or less power. So sacrifice with the Soul Trader for the last time. Reanimates your Henny, which is a more permanent sack outlet. Luminous Broodmoth will actually bring the Body Launderer back into play. And yeah, our opponent's seen what we're actually doing now, so rinse and repeat, same as what we were doing previously with the Murderous Red Cap, except it doesn't cost us a life every single time, meaning that we can do it literally infinitely. So there we are. I wasn't looking too hopeful there for a lot of the game, but this is why I tend to put a combo or 2 in all my decks, because you can really pull games back from the brink, as we saw here. So I hope you all enjoyed that one. I do enjoy a good Mardu list. The new set will be releasing soon, so hopefully you're looking forward to that. Massive thank you to the patrons for their financial support of the channel as always. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.